They are the traffickers of human beings that organize the trade of illegal mass immigration. They deceive those who rely on them to migrate to find a better life, having them pay thousands of dollars for trips to Europe they sell with brochures, as if they were regular travel agencies. But those brochures don't tell you that those trips all too often can lead to death, to a grave at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea.
If you see me in the streets, better holler at me. Seeking for a beat, throw them dollars at me. I don't like defeat, take that away from me. You tryna be like me, you couldn't handle my story. But we gon' let you know, we gon' let you know. We gon' let you know, we gon' let you know.
I request the protocol to escort Her Excellency.
Ladies and gentlemen, how you guys doing, man? It's your boy, Mr. J. Thank you for tuning in, and welcome back to yet another episode. Let me adjust that. Welcome back to another episode of Mr. J's reaction. The UNGA, the United Nations General Assembly, the 78th session just got through with a couple of hours ago, and we are going to drop some reaction on some of these leaders who spoke from the heart. You feel me? So today we are going to start with the Prime Minister of Italy, man. You guys know her. She's been tough on a whole lot of things, and she posted videos, a lot of videos of her going viral, speaking the truth about the recent situation and the influx of refugees in that country, man. We're going to talk about it, but before we do not forget to hit that like button, man. The more you do that, the more you help the channel. You feel me? Give us that thumbs up. And then, of course, for $0, man, you can join the channel, be a member, subscribe. Let's not talk too much. Let's get into it.
I have great pleasure in welcoming Her Excellency Giorgia Meloni, President of the Council of Ministers of the Republic of Italy. I invite her to address the House.
She walks like a model, man. Giorgia, let's go, Meloni.
Mr. President, Mr. Secretary General, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to represent Italy before this General Assembly of the United Nations, an honor that is, however, not light like privilege, but heavy.
Oh, you can tell that she's about to let it off. When somebody tells you it's an honor and then tells you that it's not quite a privilege, but it's heavy on her heart, she has a whole lot to say. And don't you, why do people think that every Italian speaks and does like this? You know, it's a gesture, man, the gesticulation, but she's more reserved. Let's get in, man.
Like the weight of responsibility. Because we live in complex times of continuous emergencies and change, and we cannot afford the luxury of words of circumstance.
True.
Of lofty principles that have never been realized, of easy choices in place of the right ones. We need to look back at the profound meaning of what
Italian delegation, all male, and then she a boss lady, you feel me? We need to focus on things that we can do, action. It's not lofty principles, man. Let's get to it. We come here, we talk, and no action. That's what she's hinting at. Feel me?
Gave life to this place. The community of nations and peoples that are reflected in the United Nations Charter of 1945, which was created to find shared solutions that could guarantee peace and prosperity.
True.
There are basically two fundamental premises that give meaning to these halls. On one hand, there are nations that exist because they reflect humankind's innate need to feel a sense of belonging to a community.
Does that really exist, man? Because it's far-fetched now. Every nation that comes out there is just greedy. They just focus on themselves. Times have changed. You feel me?
To a certain people, and to be able to share with others the same historical memory, the same laws, the same customs and traditions, in a word, one's identity. On the other hand, there is the aspiration of these nations that are different from each other to find a place where to resolve international disputes through an instrument that may be more difficult to use, but is definitely more effective than resorting to force. That is,
the United Nations is actually supposed to be a place where countries at loggerheads can actually solve problems, diplomatically. But it's rather unfortunate that for the past 78 years, 70 plus years, we've seen that some countries, some cliques, gang of countries have been using the UN to promote their own agenda. You feel me?
Instrument of reason. If these two premises, the nation and reason, are still the foundation of our action, then we must reject the utopistic and self-serving narrative of those who say that a world without nations, without borders, and without identity would be a world without war and conflict. And just as fiercely, we must thwart the return to the use of force as a tool to resolve international conflict.
Hypocrisy. We can already see where she's taking this to. I mean, if you've been following world politics, you will see that. Most people think that there's supposed to exist a utopic period where, we live without boundaries. Now, I understand that there's a big debate about this. Yeah, we can live without boundaries, but then again, you start using force in another country for encroaching into your boundary. There are countries who they promote this ideology, but then they are the first one to go to war for, boundaries.
Russia's war of invasion of Ukraine tells us precisely this, that against those who want to take us back to a world of dominion, neo-imperial wars, which we thought we had done away with in the past century,
True.
Reason can still prevail. And the love of country, the value of the nation, can still be safeguarded beyond the unimaginable.
Let me just say something. This Ukraine war, to be honest, this war is a useless war. What do I mean by it's a useless war? This is a war that the West, the US and the West are trying to use to weaken Russia. Remember they levied sanctions on Russia, and those sanctions didn't work. So they went in. They were looking for an opportunity. Mind you, Russia had told the West, you can extend the whole concept of NATO as far as you want, but do not bring it around me. And then it's rather unfortunate that he himself, the president of the sitting president now, Putin, said it's rather unfortunate that that wasn't written down. But back in the day, word of mouth meant something. And then this whole issue in Ukraine is a sad situation.
It's up to us, each and every one of us, to decide on what side of history we want to stand in good conscience.
True.
But let's not fool ourselves, because this is what's at stake. The choice between nation and chaos, and between reason and prevarication. Italy made a clear choice as to where it stands. It did so out of a sense of justice, and because it is aware of how difficult it would be to govern a world in which the upper hand is given to those who bombard civilian infrastructure, hoping to bring a people to its knees with cold and darkness.
Let me just say that I'm not for war. I do not stand and support war, but I do believe that certain countries in the world benefit from war. They use war to promote their agendas.
But those who weaponize energy and blackmail developing nations, blocking exports of grain, the raw material needed to feed millions of people. The repercussions of the conflict in Ukraine overwhelm us all like a domino effect, but mainly impact nations of the world south.
Most of the Western countries are still to come to terms in agreement that this war of Ukraine is not a joke. It's not a joke. But some of you guys are still, sending money, and if you want to stop this war, stop supporting, Ukraine, both sides. I would just say this. You feel me? But we all know what is at stake.
War waged not only against Ukraine, but against the poorest nations. Italy's attention is particularly focused on Africa, where nations already beleaguered by long periods of drought and by the effects of climate change are now faced with a situation compounded by food insecurity, making
The West doesn't care. They don't care if they keep sending millions and millions of aid weapons to Ukraine to fight. They don't see the domino effects. They don't realize that attacking and pushing this war between Ukraine and Russia continuously is affecting other countries. But who am I kidding? They gonna learn.
them more vulnerable to instability and easier prey for terrorism and fundamentalism. And this is a choice.
True.
To create chaos and spread it. And in this chaos that produces tens of millions of people potentially in search of better living conditions are infiltrated criminal networks that profit from desperation to collect easy billions.
You can see how honest she is. You can see that this has been in her heart. You can see that she waited for this moment to deliver this speech. And she's being honest. You feel me?
They are the traffickers of human beings that organize the trade of illegal mass immigration. They deceive those who rely on them to migrate to find a better life, having them pay thousands of dollars for trips to Europe they sell with brochures, as if
Really
they were
sad.
regular travel agencies. But those brochures don't tell you that those trips all too often can lead to death, to a grave at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea.
What are you going to tell them? When they go to the embassies, you guys turn them down. They don't go there no more. It's like embassies around these countries don't matter because people just say, I'm going to just take the highway, you feel me? Russian roulette. I make it, I make it. I die, I die. But you guys are the cause because the West is not trying to stop this war. They actually benefit from wars. You sell weapons. You feel me?
Because they don't care whether the boat used is unfit for that type of travel or not. The only important thing for them is the profit margin. These are the people who, owing to a certain hypocritical approach to the issue of immigration, have become rich beyond measure. But we want to battle against the mafia in all of its forms.
That's a difficult one, man. That's a difficult one because to stop all of these things, they got to stop the war. They got to start treating everybody equal. The West needs to stop putting puppets in these poor countries. A whole lot, man. It's a whole lot. I mean, she is speaking out of her heart because she is trying to defend her country. Italy, because most of these refugees get at island Lampedusa. It's crazy. But then, we gotta, if the UN General Assembly is really that place for equality, these are the things to target. But no, but people start targeting dumb stuff.
And we will battle against this too. The fact is that the fight against organized crime should be an objective that unites us all,
True.
and that also invests the United Nations and this place. Can an organization like this, which reaffirms in its founding act faith in the dignity and worth of the human person, can it turn a blind eye to this tragedy?
It's been turning a blind eye for decades. They don't care. They just want to promote what they think that is beneficial to them. And if it's not beneficial to them and their countries, any other country can take a hike.
Can we really pretend to not see that no other criminal activity in the world today is more lucrative than the trafficking of migrants, when it is the UN reports themselves that have shown how this business has reached, by volume of money, the same level of drug trafficking and has largely surpassed that of arms trafficking? Can this assembly of the United Nations, which in other times was fundamental to definitively eradicating the universal crime of slavery, can it today tolerate its comeback under other forms?
I like the fact that everything that is happening around the world, these countries that are, spearheading warmongering around the world, these are the countries that are starting to get a whole lot of, refugees and immigrants at their borders. Take for example the U.S. It's crazy. Let's not just talk about the people dying the Mediterranean. People are also dying the Darien Gap between Colombia and Panama. It's crazy.
Just think of artificial intelligence. The applications of this new technology may offer great opportunities in many fields, but we cannot pretend to not understand its enormous inherent risks. I'm not sure if we are adequately aware of the implications of technological development whose pace is much faster than our capacity to manage its effects. We were used to progress that aimed to optimize human capacities.
True. While
today we are dealing with progress that risks replacing human capacities.
That's what technology is. That's what technology is. Sometimes I worry about artificial intelligence too, but I use it for work. So it's she is speaking like a mother of a nation for real though, because she is touching so many aspects which, to our greatest surprise, the United Nations is not even trying to focus on, to look for solutions. To them, it's just about what benefits us, our clique, and those we don't like.
Because if in the past this replacement focused on physical tasks so that humans could dedicate themselves to intellectual and organizational work, today the human intellect risks being replaced with consequences that could be devastating, particularly for the job market.
The human intellect has already been replaced, ladies and gentlemen. I will leave it at that. I had to cut through the speech because I didn't want to bore you to react to everything, the whole 9 yard. But I will leave a link under the description box for you to watch it if you've not watched it yet. But this lady spoke from the heart. She's trying to defend Italy, her country. She's trying to protect her territory. But on the flip side, she actually is going down the root cause, because she sees refugees coming into Italy. She sees people dying in the Mediterranean, and she's trying to understand, why are these people dying? Lack of jobs because their resources are being sold at crazy rates, because the political elite of these countries where these people come from, they are being manipulated by some powers around the Western powers so that they can keep it that way. So when they like jobs and they like things to do, they're gonna move. That's my time. And leave a comment, let me know exactly what you think about her comment and her speech, man. I'm going to drop a reaction on something she said, which was targeting France, because we need to expose it, because she's being truthful and she speaks from the heart. One of the politicians which this era that I really appreciate, you feel me? I admire. I'm out here. Do not forget, man, give us a thumbs up, and I hope you did join the family. Peace.
Creation, reaction, God. Big up TRB family. Misterjaay, I see you. I know some artists don't do this. God bless you and your families.